This tariffs are the centerpiece of President Trump's economic agenda, and they're working. And the purpose of the tariffs is not to raise revenue. That is an ancillary benefit. The purpose of the tariffs is to get our manufacturing back to the United States, get our sovereignty back, stop producing things in other countries, and first and foremost, to get our jobs back. We want to get our jobs back. That's why we have the tariffs. That's why it is the centerpiece of President Trump and Trumponomics' economic revitalization of America. And they're working. And you know that they're working, not only by the money they have brought in, which is a net plus, obviously, but you know the tariffs are working because we have gotten almost $10 trillion of new plant and equipment and factory investment into the United States. 10 trillion. So these are manufacturers, these are factories, these are jobs, these are going to be production houses that will be springing up all over the United States to produce the goods here that we were producing, that somebody else was producing overseas with cheap labor, and we were importing them, therefore costing us long-term economic stability, growth, and jobs. Good paying jobs, not slave labor jobs. Very simple. Now, the reason I am so opposed to HB1 scam visas that were put forth the other day, basically at the urging of the Wall Street gangster banksters, was because they can't export their jobs for cheap labor overseas. So the lower Manhattanites, the Wall Street, the gangster banksters, the hedge fund moguls, scouring the earth for slave labor, well, they can no longer do it in America. So what do? They go to the president and they have a scheme that is now, they want to take those slave labor workers, cheap labor workers, and because we can't export the production, they want to import the labor. This is counter to the whole purpose of the tariffs, which is why it has caused me undue outrage. The inconsistency and hypocrisy of this is off the charts. Let's bring the jobs here. Let's bring the manufacturing here. Let's get the tariffs in. But then let's import cheap labor to do those jobs that are supposed to be for our kids and our workers. You get it now? This is how you put it together. Wall Street has been choking this country and its workers for 60 years. And now they're doing it again. So I just want you to tie it together. Why I am so adamantly opposed to these HB1 visas. Now, Besson says the other day, oh, well, we got to train people. How long is training? 6 months? Why are they 5 years? They're not for training. That was a bold-faced lie. He went on the camera and that was a bold-faced falsehood. Why would they be for 5 years? How long do you need to train somebody to run a machine? 3 months or 6 months? If you said to me, we're going to have HB1 visas for 6 months, and then we're going to be sure they get out when the job is done, I might listen. What, it takes you 5 years to train somebody? These people will never leave. This is just another lower Manhattan, Wall Street scheme to screw you and your kids and your grandkids. Once again, they deserve Mandami. They deserve each other. I'm glad he won. I hope he raises taxes. I hope he doubles their taxes. I could give a rat's tail. because they went to the White House and they started whining about labor cost. That's what happened. Now you go to the Federal Reserve, right? I want a Federal Reserve chairman that will start decreasing our balance sheet. The balance sheet at the Federal Reserve has increased dramatically over since COVID. I mean, it's now like it's billions and billions of dollars. When they have that much balance sheet, that means they have cash to infuse in the economy. And all that does is drive inflation. Now, the reason their balance sheet has increased is again driven by Wall Street. Because as long as Wall Street knows that they can go to the Fed and manipulate cash reserves at their whim and beck and call, that's what they like. The new Fed chairman, which I hope is Warsh, doesn't believe in this. He wants to decrease the balance sheet, give more of the power to regional banks, and get the level of cash they have down. Now, those on the other side say, well, if there's a recession, we need a quick infusion of cash. We just did that. The best way to not get a recession is keep our jobs here, hire our kids, increase production. This is a simple thing. Increase production so we have a better supply of goods and services. Not to throw more cash out. But see, this is what the banksters want. They want total control of the Federal Reserve. Now, I've been railing against this my entire life. And it never changes. I thought Trump was going to change it, but they're back in there. They're back in there squealing like stuck pigs. They want this and they want that. And we get nothing. It's going to be the same story. And they're going to tell you about, how the economy is going to crash. We're going to go into a recession. Inflation is, they're going to tell you all this stuff to get their way. These are the titans that control everything. That's Wall Street and these tech giants want an aristocracy to manipulate the economy and control everything that happens, which the centerpiece of it is not paying anybody. This is why our next Fed chairman needs to cut rates and needs to cut the balance sheet. If you do that, you start wresting the power away from Wall Street, giving it back to Main Street, which is a core economic cornerstone of what the whole America First MAGA movement is about. It's about our jobs, not giving more power to Wall Street. Now we got Powell saying, well, because of the shutdown, I might not lower rates. Think of the insanity that's going on here. The Democrats engineer the shutdown. It stifles the economy. People aren't working, which means they're not spending any money. Those, especially in this area, they never go out. They go home. Now they're back. Now in a couple of weeks or a couple of days, they'll get their back pay. You shrunk the economy, and now you're saying, well, we can't have a rate increase because the economy shrunk. A rate decrease. Because inflation went up, because nobody's buying anything. I mean, what? Nobody buys anything. Inflation goes down. Inflation is not the problem. The problem is production and growth. And so you get that by lowering rates so that people can buy cars, buy homes, put a stake in the ground, invest. And now you want to keep them high. And the excuse is the government got shut down, therefore we can't lower rates. The Democrats don't want to lower rates because they want people suffering going into the midterms. They don't care if you live or die. Okay, just get this. Okay? If they want you dead, Jay Jones said it himself. Take 2 bullets in the head, kill your kids, kill your wife. You're raising little faster. That's what he said. So they don't care about you. You want to vote for him? Hey, Jews want to vote for Mandami in New York City, and it makes them feel good that they voted for the guy that basically wants them dead. That's their problem. Never figure it out, don't care. I really don't care about that. I care about our kids. I care about our country. I care about our jobs. I care about our growth. And so Powell can't get out of there fast enough for me. I mean, the fact that he's now rolling around saying, well, I can't cut rates again because the economy, is unstable because of the government shutdown, which the Democrats caused, who don't want the cuts. I'm tying this all together, who don't want the cuts because it will benefit Republicans in the midterms. I mean, it is an unbelievable set of circumstances that we're dealing with here. And I'm here to tell you the truth. The reason I went ballistic over the HB1 visa scam is because it is exactly counter to our entire movement, which is working. And it's driven by the Wall Street gangster, bankster titans who can't get the cheap labor overseas to ship our jobs out. So they want to bring the cheap labor here. Unfreaking believable. And we're standing around accepting it, and you're telling me about training. If you're going to train them, if you need the training, then why aren't the visas 6 months? The next time I get a question for Caroline, it's exactly what I'm going to ask. If the purpose of the visa is to train our workers, why aren't they 6 months? What do you need 5-year visa, HB1 visas for? For what? For Wall Street to pay them a fraction of the wages that U.S. kids would demand. And this idea that, our kids are hanging out in the basement, stop. It is a lie. Our kids want to go to work. Our Zoomers want a future. They want to thrive. They want to be productive. They don't want to sit in the basement and play games. I know somebody's going to call up and say, well, I hired somebody who didn't show up. Well, then hire somebody else. These kids want to work. Your kids want to work. Your grandkids want to work. Your nieces and nephews that are young, they want to work. They want a career. They want a future. They want a stake in this country. Don't be telling me, they're not good enough. It's a false choice. Wall Street is giving you a false choice. They're peddling another lie in order to serve their own economic agenda needs, which are line their pockets and buy another yacht. That's what this whole thing's about, folks. And I will breathe my last breath in fighting this. So I am telling you the God's honest truth about what is going on there. All the people out there saying, oh, well, trust the system. Any Philadelphia 76ers fans out there, how'd that system work out for you? Trust what system? What, Wall Street? That's what I'm going to trust? The Democrats? That system? Like, what exactly system am I trusting? Trust the system. I don't trust, I verify. I want our kids to get jobs and get high wages and lower interest rates so they can buy a home. And this is what our movement, this is the core of our movement that they don't understand. This is not about how do we make Wall Street richer. They got all the money as it is, and now they're trying to maintain control over the Federal Reserve. And they all go to the White House, and they're all making millions of dollars, and they're all bajillionaires, and they're all titans, and they all go there, and they all hobnob. And they want HB1 visas, and they want to keep a high balance sheet at the Fed, which hurts the little guy because they want control. And they're frightened because in 2024, we ripped it away from them. We wrestled it away. We took it. We took it back. 2 years into it, they're petrified. They're seeing all this investment come in, $10 trillion, of which they have no stake in now. Because they're not shipping your hedge fund jobs to Asia or to Vietnam or to Indonesia. So now what do? They got to import cheap labor workers, calling it HB1 visa. Oh, that sounds nice. We're going to get an HB1 visa. We're going to get foreign workers with expertise to help us grow. Oh, it sounds great. It's all fraud. The whole thing's a fraud. You know what they should call it? Importing cheap labor to take your jobs, because that's what it is.